Hello, it's Fran Davidson from psychicandenergywork.com.au, and this is part 4 of my monthly observations for June 2025. Part 4 always looks at the reality number for the month in numerological terms. The reality number denotes the end states that we're about to arrive at through living and being and learning and experiencing in the phase in question. So every June brings us a reality number of 20, which reduces to 2. This June, when it's coupled with the year 2025, I almost forgot that one, we also see a reality number of 2148, which reduces to 6. So if you've got across the other videos in the monthly observations for June or this June, and or read my observations on the website, Psychic and Energy Work, you'll remember that I've talked about 6 as a balancing out vibe, a balancing out time. 6 is rest, it's recuperate, it's heal. And through that, we come to let go and we come back to genuine self again. We give ourselves the chance to reboot, realign, and therefore get ready for the next burst of energy for the end until the end of the cycle, which goes from 1 to 9. So 20 off is also, as I've written on the website in the observations in the 4th section on the observations page, 20 is a time that teaches us about relationship through relationship, and that can be relationship with others, as in other human beings. It can be relationship with nature, planet, animals. It can be relationship with invisible stuff like ghosts or energy. Yeah, it's also the relationship that we have with ourselves and also our spiritual connection. In other words, the universe, the divine source, whatever you call it. So relationship figures big time this month, as a learning curve, therefore as a, shall we say, mentoring mechanism, a mentoring dynamic. But also because we've got that 20, we've got 0. Now 0 can be read in several ways. 0 can be read as the need for space. That's not necessarily the individual's need for space. It's the universe's need for space for the individual so that they actually have a moment where they can process, release, come to greater clarity, realign and reconfigure. Because we have 3 6s in this month's chart, that's quite a lot given other months in question for this year. So 3 6s, whenever a number hits 3 or more as a tally, its obviousness as a rhythm, as a dynamic, and therefore as a learning curve tends to increase to more noticeable levels. Now, if you've got 6s in your chart as well, whether it be your birth chart or just your personal year chart, that's going to be amplified even more. That doesn't necessarily mean things are going to be bad. It just means that 6 gets louder. The need to become 6, learn about 6, manifest 6, and promote 6. Genuineness, healing, love, serving, teaching, healing, balance, harmony. It just feels right. So why am I talking about this? Because I have mentioned these things on the website on the monthly observations page. However, one thing I haven't talked about, even though I talk about, the need to process, the need to clear, in some moments, and it looks like June may well be this sort of month, from a really sort of self-nominated, I choose to do this, and positive angle, as well as perhaps as a theme that comes your way in terms, what you need to clear, you need to process. As adults, we can all be quite busy. We can all have our minds or our awareness more on the to-do lists or the fulfillments that we have to achieve by particular times and schedules and days. And the trouble with that is that things like release work can start to become compromised. A person can think they're clear when they haven't fully let go, and that's a really easy thing to say, and I'd argue we all do that on a reasonably regular basis. But Full release is a space where we are absolutely in nothing. And 0 is the 0 in 20, June's reality number every year. 0 does denote nothing, come back to nothing, because nothing is the beginning of everything. Silence is the moment just before volume happens, action happens. Lack is the moment just before something comes in as a manifestation. And so 0 teaches humans to get comfy with nothing, with loss, with movement, with lack, with clearing, with energy work. Now, that's really important to notice, because the egoic self in anything and anybody at any level, invisible or physical or human, egoic self is a gripper. It's an acquirer. It likes and it derives comfort. It needs stuff to hang on to. Sometimes that stuff can be, people. Sometimes that stuff can be things, not because any of those items that I'm listing needs to be viewed as negative or wrong or somehow not spiritual. But the other thing that egoic self can grip is its energetic state, is its inner narrative, and also within that, therefore, is its convictions about fear, is its predictions, its concerns, its anxieties. And often in release work, these can be the last things to shift in a whole and complete level. But also in release work, the job is never to just let go and therefore just to give dynamics room to move however they can. The job is to not just allow that for rhythms or wavelengths or states that you're aware of or are even top of mind. The job in release work is always to release the all, even if it's not yours, even if you're not even aware of it. And whilst that might sort of sound a bit delusional, the minute a person does that, it's amazing what other energies and therefore what other tensions and stresses can shift. And the joy of letting go, and again, this is where the 0, but it's also where 0 will be reinforced by the 6s this month. This is where the 0 is very, very powerful, because 0 is the call to come back to nothing. Therefore the universe, because the universe is nothing, but also the call to let go of absolutely everything in you, around you, of other. Everything you love, everything you don't, everything you want, everything you don't. Yeah, because as we do that, what we're coming back to is the very beginning. Therefore, we're only at that point coming back to the reboot, the total clarity, the total spiritual connection. And it's often there that we have to reach to actually get the full intuitive confirmation, verification, download, and even healing that we're actually seeking. So one way to do this, and one of the reasons why I've just run through all of this, is again, part of 6 can be feeling, healing, emotions, the emotional reality. And of course, again, in adult world, that can be something we can either like to avoid, need to avoid, or just, hello, I've got other things to do, and it feels a bit sort of, of a luxury to entertain how I feel too terribly much. And yet it's the feeling state that doesn't lie. And so in release work, how are you feeling becomes a really important statement. The ability to sit with feeling. That might be a feeling emotion. It could also be a feeling state. Hello, I've got tension in my leg. I sit with that. I don't sit with it and stare at it. I sit with it, and instead of calling it my leg, my tension, or even a negative energy, what you can do is a technique called focusing, which is absolutely brilliant for releasing, healing, clearing. And you'll find more about it at focusing.org if you care to look. But by allowing that sensation, whether it is a tension, whether it's just, I feel something around me. It could even be I feel foggy, I feel heavy. I feel depressed. Could feel I feel stressed. It could even be I feel sad. Whatever it is, actually make the space to let that state talk, because energy talks. energy also seeks resolution. And so really, those things are not the, shall we say, burden of the individual, if we're talking pure energy work. What is the burden of the individual? What is our duty, if that's the word for it, is to actually make time to let what we're sensing and feeling speak. In other words, relax, use your breath, let go, create the space for the tensions to move. Energy will move if you let it. It doesn't need instructions. It's intelligent. It has words in it if you let those words speak. And so the more we know that, the more we can breathe, let go into nothing, let go of absolutely everything, knowing that we will be informed as that energy shifts. If we need to be informed, as in if it adds value, we'll see, we'll come to know, we will hear everything that we need to in a way that adds to clarity, adds to resolution, and often lightens the body and the being in a way that really makes the way ahead a lot more cut through and a lot less cluttered than it was first. So if I come back to that focusing technique, it is all about breath. Breathe and let go into I don't know. You don't need to know in the moment that is healing and release work. You need to let go to know. And by using breath in through nose, out through mouth for the count of 4 or 5 each way, in a way that's comfortable. So you're not pushing, you're not willing, you're not warring with energy. You're not positioning yourself as master of the universe, as the director of the movie, because we're not. And the more we move into the position of I just let go and I let energy speak. I let tensions move. I let all atoms inform. As crazy as that might sound, the more you do that, the more you let your body, your being, your mind, and therefore your journey come back to the state it really is, when it's not overly in mind, schedule, busyness, mayhem, or whatever else is happening in your world. So that has been a very quick overview of focusing, release work, and how this month might ask you to just dive into those things a little bit more. You know, sometimes we heal best not by being spiritual, not by doing energy work. Sometimes we heal best by, you know what, just have a nice day out. Just use nature, quiet, something that isn't full of noise and push, push, push and volume, busyness. Yeah, quiet is there to heal. Nature is there to give, as well as actually just being enjoyed, yeah? And because we are too a part of nature, the more we give ourselves a chance to just experience that and let that view, let that environment soothe us and change the subject, the more we will also come to realise, process, heal and make way for as a positive next step in the days that unfold. So all the very best to you. I hope this helps. Please get in contact if you want to learn about this stuff or you just like a reading, healing or any other form of energy work. Travel well. Thanks for tuning in. Have a wonderful June. Speak soon.